Rinkydink Doublethink. The world is meant to be a safe and happy place, and human beings are not born evil. The worst things you read about or hear on the news have a very clear explanation. We are tolerating an overwhelming number of errors in our culture and minds. And it is those errors that slowly fracture or unravel otherwise brilliant minds. The biggest error we are tolerating is war, and military service, and weapons manufacturing. Weapons of mass destruction, which are developed to destroy entire city blocks or even cities. But there are countless others. There are so many of them that people lose their minds. Grades are a mistake for one, because we're all equally smart. Even saying, "Oh, he's an amazing artist," is a horrible mistake, because all it takes to become an artist is a series of tutorials, not some imaginary genius. The little star stickers in kindergarten are as stupid as the same kinds of stars that we hand to batshit crazy murderous generals. Blind obedience is a huge part of our problem. The world needs wisdom and brilliant, flourishing minds. And our weakness, out of being overwhelmed, confused, tricked to serve before we know better, blood-sucking parasite ghouls that promise free money for college that should have been free in the first place. We are all under the influence of this crushing confusion and broken promises. For example, for many decades we have known about climate change, but we have done nothing. We have done the absolute minimum, which is nothing. There is a way out of this, and that is to grow up knowing that tolerating all those crazy mistakes is a way to get us to serve all the lying parasitic ghouls that manipulated their way into politics all around the world. It won't be until it is too late that you will realize that war and politics never changes. But if you can just stop tolerating errors and mistakes, from poverty to fake schools, then you and your generation can change the world. The beginning is so simple that it seems ridiculous. But your generation will need a clear-to-understand visual programming-based program that will automatically manage neighborhoods, cities, states, and later nations. You need to correctly distribute food and provide powerful universal basic income, along with education that will help the local economies flourish in ways that not even the best politicians could arrange for. Politics is just a stupid game of who is who, and name recognition, and kindergarten star stickers, and obedience. A game of lies, death, and misery. Political culture is not that far off from slavery. Just look at prisons and the second part of the 13th Amendment. It is not that far off from mass killings. Just look at military recruiting teenagers. army of one? Are you kidding? Politics is an old culture that will only ever let you build a house of cards to be blown away when the dictators ran out of armies to fight for their antidepressant-induced fantasies of grandeur. It has always been about you stepping on the politicians, rising so far above them that they will bellow in mad laughter at their own damn selves and wasted lives. You have to write the program that will help humanity rise above liars, the killings, the slavery, the recruitment of children into military and manufacturing of weapons of mass destruction. Your generation cannot rely on the politics of the previous, because all of it was wrong. That's why you can't find any one single thing to fix, because it's all the things. Chances are that you have already accepted some of the madness. Grades, perhaps? Without thinking too much about it, you might have already accepted that grades are a measure of your intelligence, your worth, or your value. Though at the same time, you are not really learning, just repeating and memorizing like everyone else. You can't paint after you finish your art class. You can't write a program after learning programming. You might have already accepted bullies as a fact of life. You don't know to call the police. Maybe because you don't want their fathers to beat them even more. But you need to stop. For all the goodness and for all the future generations, you need to stop. Stop assuming that the things you can't understand are correct. You need to stop right now, before the countless mistakes start unraveling your mind. The world that you were born into is an impossible to understand meshwork of mistakes and half measures. And when you accept them as your reality, nothing will ever make sense ever again. Rather than believing in whatever culture you were born into, or the politics of whatever country or religion or family you were born into, take to the books held in the highest esteem by all the world's intellectuals, and grow up in the culture of understanding, wisdom, and greatness instead. Do not propagate the meshwork of mistakes forward. To grow up means to grow all the way up until you become a great being.